Yo, yo, yo. What's going on? What's going on? Well, since I took requests this week, by the way, I'm Terrell Hall of Fame, D-Line, tbkc, and all that sweet, beautiful, wonderful shit. Uh, One of the requests was a top 10, and I've gotten this a million times. Like, who would your top 10 American bullies be of all time? Which is like the hardest thing ever because you have different styles of dogs, you have different reasons that dogs would be considered, and you take all of the variables into consideration. Now, in those variables for me would be, of course, the dog itself. Number two would be show wins and how they performed in the ring. Number three would be, and not in this specific order, but these are just the variables that I would use, is productions and legacy that they would leave behind. So those things would greatly affect where a dog would be placed at on my list. It's a very hard list. Don't anyone take it like to heart and be like, oh, how could you leave off this dog or how could you leave off that dog? Because some dogs will be left off for some of those reasons. One of the dogs that will be left off my top 10 list, even though I think that he may be the best looking of all of the American bullies, would be Raging Bull's Ruger. The reason being with Raging Bull's Ruger is he has no productions. He has a Nationals win, which was the RKC Nationals win, which you have to factor that in. And he was a very, very good show dog and with his looks. But he would get an honorable mention on this because he quite simply will never have a legacy because he wasn't bred. So, and that's just to give you an example. He's one of my favorite dogs of all time. I actually produced his grandfather. But coming in at number 10, and yeah, this might shock some people, but it is the bully market's Bistro. Bistro was an incredible dog. I got to see Bistro in person at least 3 times. I'm thinking a fourth though. And outside of Paco, he probably had the best ring presence of any dog I've ever seen. When you looked at him inside the ring, he really, really, really looked like he wanted to be there. He always had this. It's weird, like he was prancing. It almost looked like he was dancing when he was gating. One of the best ring presences of all times. Excuse me. Overall, his structure was very, very nice. Now, of course, some people want to bring, I know they want to bring up that he was slightly easty-westy with a slight underbite. Trust me when I tell you, this was very slight. Like, you really, really had to be looking at it. He didn't have like duck feet or anything like that. His feet just tilted a little bit. But that was in the standard at the time. At that time, and it's probably still like that, they had just changed the standard to allow for issues that come along with dwarfs. One of them would be slightly easty-westy. Another one would have been a slight underbite because dwarfs have that. So they added that in, and Bistro's was very, very slight. I think he could have won even without that, without the standard being changed that way. But one of the prettiest faces that you ever seen in breed history, just as far as being symmetrical, the length of his back to the set of his shoulders, to how straight his fronts were, to all these things that he had going on, was just, he was an amazing, amazing, amazing dog. In the record books, he is the all-time winningest dog in breed history. He beat some very, very solid dogs along the way. He was showing at a time where there was very, very good competition, and he was winning against very, very good competition. Traveled the whole country, kicked ass all over the whole country. He is a legend. Now, as we said in this video, what would be, y'all probably like, well, what would be the downfall if he, well, why he would come in at number 10 is that Bistro, for as great of a show dog as he was, he doesn't quite have the production record to stack up to some of the dogs that are ahead of him. And that's it. Like, he doesn't have a long legacy of productions. Of course, my boy Mandela is off of him, amongst some other very nice dogs. But when you compare him to some of the dogs that we'll talk about, as we go down the list, they have a legacy of dogs that have a legacy in many ways, and they contributed bigger on that side of it. So the only thing that would keep Bistro out of the top 5 is the fact that he doesn't have a huge production, record as far as, and when I say huge, I'm not talking about numbers. I'm just talking about the amount of dogs, and like I'm trying to say it the right way so no one gets offended, but you don't see people talking about, what I'm saying, I'm doing the Bistro bloodline a lot. He just wasn't bred like that, and I think it was a great idea by the bully market to keep him more exclusive. But nonetheless, one of the greatest dogs I've ever seen, and it is definitely no shame to come in at number 10 on anybody's list when the pool is so big. So shout out to the bully market, shout out to Bistro, truly one of the greatest dogs of all time, and in my opinion, it might be the greatest show dog that our breed has ever seen. Until next time, y'all. Number 9 coming up. Peace.